Hey everyone, welcome back to the Astral Tourist, where I wander around the multiverse and report my findings. Today I've got a wild one because I had another completely spontaneous astral projection while still half exhausted from the big trip I recently returned from. So again, this one is a bit fragmented because I'm still getting caught up on my sleep and everything. But it was so nice, I thought I really wanted to share it. So I wound up on a supersized alien mega planet that had like everything. Greenery, lush colors, high-tech buildings, mountain range, and even a bureaucratic lizard alien population. Yes, space TSA exists. And apparently I triggered it on this world. So again, fragmentation here, not full control or lucidity, but here it goes. I was flying around, minding my own astral business when I got more lucid, and the colors filled in and everything. I'm sure I was doing like some kind of a reality check. And I realized I'm on this giant Earth-like world. I'm like, wow, this looks really green, like on our Earth. But as I was flying around, I noticed I did not see any oceans. Now, I'm not 100% sure because I did not circle this whole planet, but I don't recall any salt water. But everything was very green, so they must have had fresh water. And there was just, wonderful bushes, trees, high-tech stuff too. These red and green buildings layered with these metals I didn't recognize. And there were loads of beings. It didn't feel crowded though, but it was definitely a very populated world and very structured. Now, mostly the vibe was very neutral, like things are just running along, at their normal pace. And I noticed like when I was flying, there are these huge areas of just open space to fly around in. There in the atmosphere, like over the buildings, enjoying like these large parks they had. And like the planetary atmosphere, it just felt nice, not overly nice or anything, but, and the lighting was really good. Like, 2 or 3 in the afternoon here on a clear day on planet Earth, kind of like that, but maybe a little brighter even. And I was turning on my 360 vision when I saw the mountains in the distance. So the mountains aren't everywhere. I saw them in the distance when I was using my 360 vision. They were rounded mountains, not cliff-like, and packed with lots of these beautiful green trees. So there's a lot of oxygen going on in this planet. And they have so much green. Oh my gosh. It was so scenic. So 5+ stars for scenic views on this planet. And then, because I did not have full control, I accidentally drifted into this huge, one of the huge red and green techie buildings. And I noticed I couldn't phase out through the side wall. Now, y'all know that have been listening that I have tips and tricks for going through walls. And so I used a number of my tips and tricks to no avail. I tried the slow motion phasing through, shifting my focus, not thinking about the wall. Nothing was working until one of them finally did. I went full reverse psychology and just backed out without looking at the wall, which is one of the tips. Don't even think about the wall. Don't look at the wall. And for one of the walls, this actually worked. Not the side wall, but the back wall where I hadn't even taken notice of it at all. That's the one it worked on. But I did feel the material, and it was slowly stretching backwards with me and coming with me a bit, like tough plastic stretching and stretching. And I had the impression for a couple of miles or something, like this long stretch through it. But eventually I popped through. So that it worked. It just took some time there. And later on, there was this cafe area with tables. but I don't have all the visual details. I mainly felt it, and things were kind of blurry again by then. But I remember I met this, definitely a human, and looking human, a guy named Evan, or maybe Devin. He had to tell me a couple different times. So I think it was Evan, might have been Devin. Tall, like 5'8" to 6 feet tall, maybe. Maybe from Chicago. It's kind of vague now. Anyway, he was really cool, and we chat for a few minutes about how we were both from Earth. And we chatted about the Reddit subreddit Astral Projection. He knew about that. I think we exchanged information, but that might have been it. And neither one of us was sure if we would remember it. So, hey, Evan or Devin, if you're out there. Anyway, he had a nice vibe to him, easygoing guy. I did ask him the name of the planet. Like, do you know what the name of the planet is? But he didn't know. I think I tried to ask a few other people or beings, but those memories are gone. And I just did not get the name. So eventually I wanted to try flying even higher into the atmosphere, and then potentially up into space and seeing if I could get a view of the planet from space. So I reached the upper atmosphere. I saw stars, but did not recognize any of the constellations, not a one. So far, far away from Earth. There were no moons that I could tell either. And I'm not sure I was seeing around the whole planet. So, maybe it has some moons like way over on the other side. Remember, this planet is enormous. Like, think about those giant water worlds. Well, this one's more like Earth. It's a super Earth or something. So no familiar patterns in the sky, just distant stars scattered about like cosmic confettis. So I did one of these things I like to do, and I picked one star at random and flew towards it. Now, I didn't get very far, so I tried another star and tried putting my focus on that one and trying to like escape the planet's gravity again. But this planet's gravity is like super gravity. It was like trying to fly through glue or something. And when I tried a third attempt, and suddenly the whole sky filled up with these high-tech metallic orange ships, like everywhere, a complete blockage as far as the eye could see. I'm like, wow, that's overkill. I'm just a tourist. So it was like somebody hit the, block tourist from leaving the world button or something. And, not wanting to cause any trouble and knowing I hadn't done anything wrong, I just decided to land. Because why not? Say hi, introduce myself. Hey, I'm just a chatty tourist. So when I landed, I descended back down to the ground, which was quite a distance. They followed me all the way down. And they dropped down into the streets, and I noticed they were keeping their distance from me, even though I was fully blockaded. Like, wow, am I like a 007 spy or something to them? What did I trigger here? And so, fully blockaded, these short beings emerged. Again, they were like being cautious, staying like 3 to 5 feet away from me. More like 5 or 6 feet, actually. Like only a few like ventured in closer. And I didn't recognize most of the telepathy coming at me and the blurry images. The images were like blurry concepts. But eventually I figured out they seemed mostly concerned about whether I was carrying weapons, of all things. So, since telepathy was kind of weird and blurry, I went like semi-transparent. I phased into like my semi-transparent form, like so they could see through me and in me to see that I wasn't hiding anything. And I tried explaining as best as I could telepathically that, hey, I'm a tourist, being a tourist, just flying and looking around this big, beautiful planet of yours here. And I could tell that they believed me. Like there was an understanding there suddenly, a lot of relieved faces there. I didn't know why they were relieved. I mean, these look pretty intense, these beings. So, and many just left right away. Like most of all the blockade was like on its way on out again. doing whatever they do. But some were like still like in the process of leaving more slowly. And I wasn't even given any warnings or anything. I wasn't told not to go flying again or anything. Like whatever I had triggered there, I guess was a false warning or whatever. So that was basically that. So I tried again telepathing to a couple that were left and like already walking away or flying away. And I just asked if I could like talk more, like, chat, like get to know one better. And one did turn around towards me and agreed. And so I could tell like he's a smaller size of a being, but I didn't still wasn't making him out really well. I knew he had some kind of a uniform on. And so I told him he has permission to touch me so we can communicate better. So he reached out his hand, and when our hands touched, I also said clarity now and true form. That's my command to my own mind to not translate so much and just see what the actual true form of the being is. Because our minds are always translating, remember, and so it helps to clear it up to do something like that, to clear up the translation. Like think of your consciousness and your mind as a translator. So I'm like, true form, like don't over interpret, like just let me see what's here. So the overlay our minds tend to put on things dropped. I could tell he was about 3 feet tall and thin, so smaller like I thought. A grayish color, lizard humanoid in shape, and had this cute curly tail, not a pointy thing. It was like softer and curly. Plus he had several prosthetics and all this tech stuff. So I could tell he'd had a long-lived, tech-supported life. I mean, amazing, medical stuff probably. I don't know, but wow. So also I felt cold when we touched. Just a coldness, not all over, not an attack or anything, but just, that's the difference in our energy frequencies, just in general. It doesn't mean anything emotionally or whatever. So this wasn't the first time he was trying to communicate with a tourist. I could tell, he's all let's get this right. Do you feel me? Do you feel this? I could tell those kinds of inquiries. He was very function oriented, kind of like an engineer. I think he was an engineer, maybe, not just in security. So, very polite, and that was really cool, just to meet another being. So that was my trip. No, not all lizard beings are negative and awful. I've met other ones that weren't too. So, it just depends on the world and the beings there. So this was a giant mega world, neutral tone, no oceans that I could see, alien greenery, and a lizard-like non-human population with astral flight restrictions. So my observations and takeaways from the whole thing. The tourist notes, if you will. Again, neutral emotional tone, not a dream. Dreams always have some kind of emotional color, and I could not affect things like one normally could in a dream. So nothing was influenced by me. There was the inability to phase through the one wall, so there's strong local physics going on. This planet was super high gravity, even though it was a very large mega world. So yeah, heavy grav. And mostly I've been on these worlds with heavy gravity that are smaller. So this was a giant one with the heavy gravity. Yeah, the orange ships were some type of astral boundary enforcement folks, but they didn't care about me at all as long as I wasn't armed, I guess, and I wasn't. So, all of that just to find that out about me. So they're really careful about some things there, very strict in some ways and loose in others because they didn't seem to care what else I was doing. So there's that. A lot of advanced projectors describe regions where you're simply not allowed to leave. And there are so many ways around this. You can phase, shapeshift, do all this stuff. I've covered this before. But I choose to comply most of the time. And often I'll even be given an astral ID and, which kind of works as a permission for future visits, because I actually go through the process to get to know these people and these folks. I'm taking the time to learn about, how they live. And I think that's why I get that respect in return. The lizard-like beings, non-human residents, not symbolic constructs. And the overlay dropping when we tried to communicate more is, touching is a classic way to bypass the mind's translation layer there. So it's just like one more layer of communication that helps clear things up. The unrecognizable star field, a non-Earth locale, is clear. Not a copy of the Earth's astral environment whatsoever. This place was so different. The entire vibe, well, one of those functional astral planets, a place with population, rules, governance, infrastructure, but not tied to human astral regions, at least as far as I could tell. So, today's journey dropped me into a supersized mega alien world filled with neutral vibes, amazing scenery, high-tech lizard inhabitants, and astral airspace regulations enforced by their, amazing fleet of these orange super high-tech ships. Like, think Battlestar Galactica, but upgrade that thought by 1,000,000. Add some orange, and there you go. This was incredible, this place. The whole place. One of those structured, non-human astral planets with their own physics, their own rules, their whole society. And I was just being a tourist wandering through without a map that time. So I've gone ahead and assigned it the name Lizardtopia, since it's mega-sized, oh so beautiful, and inhabited by these lizard beings. So thanks for astral traveling with me today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. It really helps the channel grow. Drop your own experiences in the comments. I love reading them. Until next time, happy travels, and keep those astral passports handy.